Hello there, welcome to the Perfume Experience. Welcome back to another fragrance review. So today we have two fragrances from the house of Paris Corner. We have Rifaaqat, which is this bad boy in this white colored box, and then we have Rifaaqat Adorn, which comes in this kind of a black colored box. Now they're popular fragrances or dupes from the house of YSL fragrances, and people kind of like these fragrances, especially to be worn during winters. So it's appropriate that we review them and talk about them. So stay tuned to the very end to figure out how these fragrances perform and should you consider getting them as winter fragrances for this particular season. So you're watching the Perfume Experience. My name is Rodney. Let's get going right after this intro. Alright, so welcome back and let's talk about the Rifaaqat, the original one first. And like I said, it comes in this kind of a paper box, very basic box, nothing fancy to talk about, while the bottle itself is pretty good looking. So it kind of looks like this, a very beautiful dark colored juice that you see. Overall, I feel the presentation is pretty good. This is the Eau de Parfum concentration. It's a 100 ml bottle, and one of the nicest things that you will find is the atomizers on this particular fragrance. They've done a fantastic job, easy to say, pressurized atomizer, and it sprays really well, throws a big spray, and you kind of enjoy the way it kind of opens up. And one more element as well is the opening of these fragrance is fantastic. Like, absolutely love this particular opening. This is the alternate of the YSL Libre. Okay, now that's what the YSL Babycat is going for the Babycat, and it is absolutely wonderful in which the way this particular fragrance opens. You kind of get a very good hint of vanilla. That's the first thing that you will observe. The second thing that you will note is a very good amount of suede leather. Those are the two prominent elements that you note in this particular fragrance. Of course, it is supported very well by notes like pink pepper, black pepper, and you will find a little bit of olibanum, LME to give you that incensey, resinous type of a vibe. But the dry down is where you have this woody vibe, where you have this lovely amount of suede leather. Now, suede leather, unlike your typical leather is very sharp, but suede leather is a lot more smoother, lot more vanilla-like kind of a nature, right? It's very soft, it's gentle. Even when you take suede leather things that you smell, you will notice it's very different, though it's got a very different type of a finish as well, right? Similarly, this particular fragrance also has got a similar type of a vanilla that works very well with suede leather to give you that lovely soft, beautiful, creamy textured of a vibe that you get, which is absolutely beautiful. Like I said, the opening of this fragrance is fantastic. You will absolutely enjoy it. This is not a very spicy type of fragrance, although it has got spicy notes like pink pepper and black pepper as well, but you will feel kind of a little bit of a spicy element, not overly spicy, but just mild, just beautiful, just the right amount of balance that you would want. So there is no sweetness in the fragrance, but because there is a vanilla on this particular fragrance, you do get that light vanilla kind of a feeling, which is not exactly sweet, but then a feeling that makes you very comfortable. Overall, I would say that this smells absolutely beautiful, powdery dry down that you would get along with that suede leather. Really nice. Now, the opening on this particular fragrance, if you go about, let's say 10-12 sprays, because this is quite a light type of a fragrance to consider. It's not a very dark, it's not a very heavy, loud projecting type of a fragrance. But having said that, it's a soft type of a scent profile. The opening stays for about 25 to 30 minutes time, and then it starts to soften up a bit. As it transitions into the third hour to fourth hour mark, it lose all its pepperiness, it lose its spicy elements from that particular fragrance, and then only give you or leaves you with that lovely dry down of a beautiful vanilla combination along with a good amount of suede leather that you will absolutely enjoy. Now, this I wish this would last a little longer. Maybe it should do about 6-7 hours. It would have been wonderful, but it kind of does about 3 to 4 hours to even 5 hours. Okay, now at 5-hour point, it is lingering on your skin. It kind of makes you a little bit of a nose blind in most times. Though now you wear a lot of sprays, you don't actually kind of see it project as such, but then you will have that aura around you that stays for a long time. But about 3-4 hours is what I would say. Even the 5th hour mark, something that you would get. I wore it in a recent trip that I did, and so it was there on me for about 5 hours time. The only thing is, while it's there on you, if you're in a stationary place, then more likely you will not be able to smell the fragrance, though it's on you. Maybe your partner would be able to smell sitting next to you about 2 or 3 feet away. But the moment you get off or the moment you walk and you kind of feel a little bit of air, there's a moment you will immediately smell the fragrance coming back to you, and you know it's there. So it does linger on you. So if you keep smelling your hand, you will absolutely know that this particular fragrance is there and you will absolutely enjoy it. Now, one of the good things also about this beautiful fragrance is, I can say that it doesn't have the typical alcohol blast that you would usually find with some Paris corner fragrances. It's not like that. These feel more upmarket. These feel definitely more premium as such, and so it's a wonderful fragrance to consider. The only con that I would probably say is it's a little softer in its nature. So but if you are a person who likes softer fragrances which have a rich feeling to it, which has got a very creamy element to it, which is fantastic for date nights, fantastic for close encounters, especially during this winter season. If you're going out with your friends, it's a small circle, you should definitely consider wearing this. I would say that you can even respray this just before you meet your circle of friends or your partner, because that's when this really works its magic and it smells absolutely wonderful. So yes, but if you're traveling at a distance of about an hour or so, then I would say definitely do a respray when you reach the venue, so that you absolutely enjoy this particular fragrance. So for me, this has been a big surprise. I've seen a lot of post about this particular fragrance, but I always wanted to try it and see how this one smells, and it's no regret getting this particular fragrance. Easy buy at about, I think, 1700 rupees to sub 2000 rupees. You should comfortably be able to get this. Very good fragrance for that particular price point. Highly recommended if as a very good date night scent that you can consider. Now, like I said, this is an alternate of the YSL Babycat, and I'm not really sure how the original smells like, because I've tried it at airport, so I can't really compare it to be with it right now, but it's a very good dupe to consider if you're looking for this particular fragrance. I would say in the ballpark figure of 80-85% is how close this would be to it, right? So this is Rifaaqat. Okay, now let's talk the next one, which is basically the brother of it, which is also called Adorn. This, I think, was a more recent release. Like I said, the box is black and the bottle has got a black colored thing to it. It's got a, this is a decant that we add, and then we finished with the decant. So this is the last bit of the fragrance that I have with me, and I will add this one. So the Rifaaqat I will add into the decants as well. Now, surprisingly, it also talks about the nose on the fragrance itself. So it does talk about, let's say, LME, black pepper, all of that. So it does talk about that, and this also has a bit of saffron, so that's where you also have a little bit of that sweetness that I was talking to you about, or the vanilla vibe. Not a whole lot of sweetness, but definitely a good fragrance to consider. So this was Rifaaqat, right? Now Adorn is here, and Adorn's juice color is a lot more lighter when you compare with the Rifaaqat itself. Now this itself has got like pink pepper. This has also got coriander. It's got a little bit of violet, so there's a lot of spicy element. Plus this has got patchouli and oak moss as well. So along with that, it's got a little bit of a woody element. For me, this is the way it kind of opens is really, really nice one. Although it is a fragrance that is reminiscent of the original one to a very great extent when you open it up. This Adorn is an alternate of the Tuxedo. YSL Tuxedo. So that is what this particular fragrance goes for, which has got a lot of spicy elements. It's got a little bit of a vanilla as well. The original Tuxedo, I have a decant of it that has got a good amount of rosewood. Okay, now that is what I kind of think is the only thing that's lacking on this particular fragrance. But this is more louder than the original, the other Rifaaqat. The Adorn is definitely more louder. The Adorn has got a very, very spicy, sharp opening. The spicy element of patchouli, the peppery elements that are there on this fragrance, they just come out straight off, and they give you that nice mossy element as well. So the peppery part, the spicy part is something very nice. You do get a hint of mint somewhere, some kind of a minty element as well. That's also nice. And you kind of sense somewhere there's a light hint of vanilla that's there in the fragrance, but not a very dominant one. Now in the original Tuxedo, the rose note, there is a rosewood note which is there, which is like the heart note of this particular fragrance. That is very dominant. That is something that you will enjoy. You will notice that is something I don't observe so much here. Okay, but aside to that, it smells absolutely wonderful as a good alternative of the Tuxedo fragrance in a budget if you want to consider. Okay. Now the other element to this particular fragrance is basically the mossy vibe that you get. So the green, mossy, green vibe that you will get along with the patchouli. Now the patchouli is very dry here. but very, very spicy element. So both of them can be thought about as spicy fragrances, bit of woody elements, bit of vanilla on both, but they are completely different in the way the structure is. This is a lot more vanilla, a lot more cedar, a lot more suede leather kind of a fragrance. Okay, but the spicy element is lot lesser there. It's more of the pepperiness that is there, but in here the spice element is absolutely phenomenal. It feels like as if you got something very royal worn on you, something very masculine, something that can be worn for a tuxedo night or a party, I would say, where you want to be completely different. That is the type of fragrance I always felt as tuxedo, as it's one of those very complicated fragrances that stands apart for its time. Okay, so somewhere there, that is what I feel about this particular fragrance. Now the scent profile is like really nice. The spice notes are there for a long time, and then eventually around the fifth hour mark, fifth hour mark, the spicy elements kind of wear off completely, and then you are only left with a little bit of that woody vibe that you get, and more of that dry patchouli part of it. Okay, at the beginning it's a lot more spicier, but as it goes down, as it transitions into the dry down, it's a more linear fragrance, but it doesn't have that spice element so much. The projection is very good in the opening. It projects much better than that one. That's got a lot more powdery element. So this Rifaaqat is a lot more powdery. This is more sharper, so it does project much further away and smells very, very nice. And even for about 1.5 mark, you will feel the projection. Even when it goes down to the fifth hour as well, you will still notice the the spicy elements of the oak moss, the spicy elements of the patchouli right there on the fragrance, and that's a really nice element. The coriander spiciness, so many spicy elements, making it absolutely very spicy and less vanilla. And the rosewood note, like I said, is absolutely kind of missing on this particular fragrance. I don't get that at all, but you do smell a light hint of floral element of a rose somewhere in the background, like maybe 15% of the DNA somewhere. There is a slight hint of it, but smells very classy, very beautiful, especially black shirt, black pant, and you want to wear a fragrance that's very different to others. Yes, you can definitely consider getting Rifaaqat Adorn. Now, now you might want to do a lot of sprays of this one in case you want to have like a bomb-like projection. But yes, you can definitely do that. Overall, I would say this is a pretty good fragrance as well. Now, I know most of you who are considering, Adorn are thinking about how is it when compared to this bad boy, which is a Fragrance World suit. Okay, so I will do a detailed, comparison video about this versus that, and I'll tell you how this fragrance smells or compares against that. But overall, I felt this is also pretty good. Flanker when you think about the Rifaaqat series as such, right? Overall, I would say both are very good fragrances in budget. Especially this is absolutely love. I would definitely think about including this as a winter fragrance for this particular season. The only thing that I felt is I wish it to add a little more punch. That would have been very nice. But even otherwise, one of the best openings, one of the best powdery fragrances. Dry down is absolutely love of this particular fragrance. So if I were to score these two fragrances, I would say this can be almost 8.5. This could be almost a 7.5 type of a fragrance. So that's how I think about these two fragrances. And stay tuned for a few days when I will do a comparison of Adorn with Fragrance World suits as well. Okay, so if you like this kind of a video, hit the like button, subscribe and share, and I'll see you on another video. Until another time, take care. Bye bye.